Hello, everyone. It's good, Dash. We're gonna give a few more minutes for people to jump in. We're excited um, and to explain what this virtual workshop is. It's an informal conversation for everyone. Anyone that is interested in farming are growing for themselves. We are recording this workshop so that
I don't
people.
know if anybody wants sandwiches. If not,
All right. We want people to be
oh yeah,
informed.
Harlan.
All right. When you enter, please mute yourself. Um, when you enter. So everything else that we now wanted people to have access to this recording, so that people can um go back and learn from them. Unfortunately, we did have to cancel last week's presentation with Iris Francisco and Gilbert Tutu, as they had had called them out, and we weren't able to do the NRCS. So stay tuned. That we are hoping to re to um reorganize and also have them talk about uh, and have them a date set so that they can talk about NRCS. The idea is that if you want to do, our first workshop was um, traditional farming, dryland farming, auction farming. What does that look like? What does it mean? So very grateful that we had Nolan Johnson come out and share his culture, the culture, what he does at his farm. It may be different from what other people may do, but people have a starting platform if they want to do dryland farming. Um, with um, with Xavier, they actually are we're very grateful that we have them. We are excited to hear what they have to share. Um, if anything, we'll give it one more minute and then we'll go ahead and start. But yeah, we've been Xavier Co-op has been a really good resources for the nation as far as agriculture, and not only do they grow hay, they grow other things, and they are wanting to connect to the people more. This is where partnerships come in, with being able to connect with them and to give them a platform to talk, but also they get to share what Santa Fe is all about. And one of the things that we are grateful for Ajo CSA is able to be able to work with Santa Fe Co-op and talk about farming in the modern day age, which is tractors and the equipment and access to water. What they have learned being at their farm, um, and being able to grow traditional foods on a larger scale, not just hay. But yeah, it was amazing to go there, to work with them. For some of you guys, we're having the autumn farmers market there tomorrow. For those who are in Tucson, um, please please come on out, support your local farmer, support local. Uh, if anything else, I believe we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So, hello everyone. Just wanted to lay down a few house rules for today. So everyone, my name is Sterling Johnson. I am co-director of Ajo Center for Sustainable Agriculture. And we're doing this virtual, in-person and virtual workshops to talk about climate smart agriculture. What does that mean? You will find out. But I would like to go ahead and let our guests, Amy Wan and Duran Andrews, uh, introduce them, introduce themselves. But I also have written in the comments, Duran is a has been farm manager for almost a year or over a year. He went to Santa Maria 5 years ago. Uh, Became production department as equipment operator supervisor before being promoted to farm manager in 2022. Sorry. During plans to bring the farm back to the original perspective and reestablish the community connections and farm and have pass education training for all areas of the farm to help improve overall production. Plans increase the acreage in growing traditional and non-traditional foods, which they have done is over and over again, which we much appreciate. Santa Beer. Amy Wan has been working at Santa Beer for almost 2 years. Amy has brought a lot of Santa Beer up from um, where they're at now, where they were at before to where they're at now, and pushing to be a farm that contributes to the community and gives access to the to traditional foods. So with that, we'll go ahead and let Amy talk first, and then we'll let Darren do the presentation. Is that okay, Amy?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, so I know I left out a whole lot of things. If you guys don't know Amy, Amy is a really I want to say important person. It's really something that Amy has a lot of knowledge on culture. She's a singer, she's an activist, she does a lot of things that to promote Himantha and culture and for women to be strong. So go ahead, Amy, if there was anything I missed out on.
I think you covered all of it, Sterling.
Yeah.
It's good seeing everybody. Good morning. It's good to be here. I'm just here as a support listening in today. But I'll be Duran's hype man this morning, and just say that we're really excited as always to share with the community and to contribute to the community and to yes, to share what we've been working on and our vision for moving forward here at Santa Maria Co-op Farm. So good morning, let's have a good day, and I'll turn it over to Duran.
My name is Duran Andrews. I am the farm manager here for Santa Maria Cooperative Farms. I'm going to give a presentation today about the farm. I'll be honest, it was just 2 days ago they let me know I was going to do this, and my schedule was completely busy with this time of the year. We're harvesting, we're planting, we're irrigating around the clock. So just taking time to be able to share the farm, to give you guys an experience of what we're doing, but also encourage you to come out and visit the farm, especially at this time of the year. I know it's hot, I know it's 100 degrees outside, but we're active, and that's when the farm is most active. During the heat, during the summer, we are thriving. Things are growing, things are moving, things are being harvested. We are like the thought done in the hot sun. We're moving. Sorry, stand by.
No, okay. But yeah, if anything, just a little bit more. If you are,
Stand by.
if you want to introduce yourself, please do it in the chat. Name, organization, and please disclose any if you're in school or doing research. This is a place. This is just general information, but please disclose that. But we want people here to understand that this is informational. This is something to inspire farmers and people to continue agriculture as it's a much needed workforce, because it is something that for us it's a life source. It's always been a life source for Native people to grow traditional foods, and we want to be able to empower that for not just Octum people, but also people who live on Octum land. So to be able to have access to this information, because it is valuable. So, but thank you so much, and go ahead, Duran.
Okay, going back to what what I was saying about adding on to Sterling, finding good workers in agriculture is hard. And like I stressed that about the weather and the environment, because it plays a big factor in what we do here. Going to share a little bit about how farming has changed over the years, especially with Octum farming. It hasn't changed a whole lot. You know, there's a lot of things that we still try to adapt to, but I'll share some of those things here in my presentation. Everybody see my presentation? See the screen? We good?
Please do a reaction, thumbs up or waving the hand if you see the presentation.
I'm gonna continue. So we at Santa Vera Cooperative Farms, we do practice traditional agriculture. And when I say that, we do plant traditional seeds such as the temper beans, the 60-day corn, and the squash, the bao, the hoon, and the hahar, for example. Encompassed around a number of other things like the yellow watermelon, the autumn peas, the birkan, the wheat. Those are some of the things that we definitely grow here at the farm, but also with the twist. We here at Santa Vera Cooperative Farms like to, of course, incorporate technology, incorporate science, and incorporate modern agriculture. Some of those things are done through a number of different methods, such as equipment, planning, as well as technology. But going back to a little bit behind the farm, Santa Vera Cooperative Farm, Santa Vera Cooperative Association is committed to healthy farming practices and growing traditional crops to support the cultural and environmental values, as well as support the economic development within the community. The Santa Vera Cooperative Farm considers the following aspects of the Himadak, or way of life, to ensure the decisions of the rehabilitation project are consistent with the culture. We always try to keep this in mind, and as a farm manager, being in leadership, I try to push this on staff, because this mission statement is our goal, it's our purpose. Everything that was set forth by the landowners was created because of this mission statement, and we have a plan, and this is it, and we just need to refocus ourselves, but also keeping into account our responsibilities, you know, that community development, being able to support the community and provide not only just food, but able source for economic support. But also that aspect of the environment, understanding that as we grow as a farm, we affect the environment, and how do we do that in a really positive way, so that we're not destructively destroying things that should be naturally in the system. For example, we do not spray any kind of pesticides, herbicides, or fertilizers of any kind here on the farm, and that puts us in a very, very unique position to be certified naturally grown. We do not, only additive I can say we add is the Central Arizona Project water, and that comes from the Colorado River, of course. These water sources are results of the water battles, are water issues that were done in the past between the city and the landowners here in Santa Vera District. The establishment of the city caused issues with the water table, the groundwater, and then of course that affected the landowners here. But because of efforts they put forth in the past, we were rewarded with the Central Arizona Project water, which allows us to be able to grow foods with the water here, But we also do it with a twist a little bit, of course. And I'll kind of explain that a little more in the fruit production section. One of the other things we do here, of course, that kind of gives us authenticity is the city of Tucson is known for the city of gastronomy. And we here at the Santa Fe Cooperative Farm, especially the Tohono O'odham Nation, we believe that the city of gastronomy, we laid the foundation for the city of gastronomy, native cultures. If it wasn't for native cultures here in Arizona, the boiling pot of all the other cultures here in Arizona wouldn't be existing. And the city of gastronomy wouldn't be recognized as it is today. So we have been working hard to make ourselves known and put ourselves at that table as Native Americans to make sure that we have a say and we are recognized as our foods here and our cultures here in Arizona. So, but foods of the desert, of course, aside from just some of the feed, which I'll go into later, which helps to provide livestock, we do food here. One of our main focuses is not just cultivated foods like your 60-day corn. We do wild harvesting cooked foods as well. Some of those things can consist of cholla buds, mesquite pods, and we definitely do a number of different things with those products. The other types of resources are the cactus fruits like the bahitas, the ipai. Those are some of the other things we definitely dabble into. But for example, the mesquite, we definitely harvest that and then can tie that into that community support and economic support. We do a pay by the pound program where we do a workshop and train individuals and community members about how to go out and harvest mesquite pods, how to avoid the dangers of harvesting, educate them on some of those dangers and how the effects of some of those dangers, like for example, aflatoxin, and then have them go out and harvest it on their own time, and then they bring that back to us. We buy it back. We buy that back at a certain poundage per certain dollar per pound. They get money, we get mesquite pods. It's a great circle of life, of course, making sure that everyone gets a plus in the end of that deal, of course. But the children is another example of that pay by the pound as well. We also do that workshops and program through our cholla buds and bringing in more harvesters, basically. But not only that, spreading the knowledge, making sure that everybody has that knowledge to be able to support themselves, be able to go out and not only just sell it back to us, but sell it for themselves and be independent and kind of be entrepreneurs in their own way. So, with the farm, of course, agriculture, anything we do with, I guess in life, safety is a big factor. And my experience here at the farm, there's been a number of incidents and I think avoidable issues that we could have totally be overcome had safety been a priority. But when it comes to farming and anything, safety is a big factor. And just to share a couple of things we do here in the farm, all staff meetings every other Monday to make sure that everybody's on the same page. We can bring things to the table. We can make announcements and make sure all the staff are up to date with things on here on the farm, policies, procedures, rules, updates, scheduling, things like that. First aid compliance, AED machines throughout the farm to help with any kind of injuries, from scrapes on your hand to splinters in your fingers, to massive cuts and damages, broken arms and things like that. It can all happen here on the farm. We are fire suppression, of course. This picture you see in the upper right hand corner is the picture of the fire we had here, I want to say 4 years ago. When we had this fire, I was an equipment operator, baling hay every day, and all that hay went up and overnight. So that is a result of mismanagement. We had 3 days of consecutive rain. They didn't go in and check inventory, and they didn't go in and check moisture. They tried to move around product a week later and it combusted. This is basic compost. When you think about a bale of hay, when you introduce too much moisture, you basically create a compost pile, and compost is susceptible to spontaneous combustion. So in the end, after all the investigations, that fire was ruled out as spontaneous combustion, and it's the most feared thing when it comes to farming and hay operations. So we've since then increased our fire suppression policies and procedures by implementing fire extinguishers in all the buildings, all the equipment. There are fire extinguishers throughout the new barn, which we had rebuilt with the insurance, of course, as well as putting in new policies and procedures for staff to react to fires in what we call hot bales, when bales come in with too much moisture. But kind of going into some of these other pictures, the bottom right-hand corner is a backhoe. One of the things we deal with here are gophers. And you're probably wondering why, but irrigation and gophers do not go hand in hand. Especially flood irrigation the size and acreage that we do. Gophers will create holes in the ground, and they can span feet in an area. And when irrigation finds those holes, they turn them into massive cavities. When equipment comes by, they usually just take the beating of it. This guy was cruising along the edge of a field. He was actually punching holes to prevent this from happening, and he didn't see this one, and he dove in and would have got tossed out of the cab had he not been wearing his seatbelt. So, you know, again, safety is always a factor in any kind of thing. So taking into account some of those, but also staying on top of punching these holes and making sure the guys are safe. The center picture is the one smaller one you see with the water bushing out is a picture, an example of improper following of policy and procedures. We were doing a screening change on what they call a basket, which is a screen that helps out filter out the irrigation. And they didn't shut off the main line coming in. So when they popped the screen open, all this water came busting out. I believe it got up to probably about 3 feet when I got out of the vault, and the vault is around 17 feet high. I've seen these vaults fill with water because they're concealed systems. So it's a very dangerous setup, but had the guys shut off the main valve, followed the proper procedures, they would have avoided this completely. Again, safety is always an aspect in everything we do. And then the picture you see in the background is a picture of a vehicle in a sinkhole. One of our irrigators at night was trying to, you know, do his job, and he hit a sinkhole and slammed into the steering wheel, of course, but it cut him out completely and it got him stuck in there. We had to come in the next morning and help him. So safety is not just it's everyone's job. It has a ripple effect when people don't do their jobs. Him hitting the sinkhole is a fact as a result of the farm maintenance not doing their job. He's staying on top of keeping these roads safe, but also the fact that irrigation might have overflowed this field and made the water create these holes. So safety is not just the fact of just being on top of things, but everyone has to do their job in order for things to work right. So it has a ripple effect, and it definitely affects safety in the end. Operations, especially on a farm like this, definitely require logistics. We are a couple miles across, spanning from north to south. If you're familiar with Tucson, we span from Mission and Valencia, right there, to down just past the river right here on I-19 going south. And you can see the fields when you're driving south on I-19, and you can see the fields when you're driving on Valencia and Mission in that area right there, the intersection. So we have to be on top of communication, information, and of course staff is a big one too. So incorporating some QuickBooks, for example, to help with our procurement processing, purchasing, transaction, staying on top of all our checks and balances for our accounting procedures is definitely a big importance when it comes to business operations. iPads, technology. We incorporate an iPad to help with different maps and things like you see. This is basically my personal assistant. I have my email connection to some of the staff. I have clock in, clock out. I can see sales and transactions. Definitely incorporating that technology helps us be mobile. And not only that, but it's cellular too. So they keep me on it all the time. Square, it helps us with tracking inventory, making sure our purchases are on point. Our pricing is changing when we need to, especially throughout the seasons with the hay. And our different varieties of hay changing, because we don't just sell alfalfa. We have a wide variety of things because we don't spray, for example, which I'll explain further in the presentation. Farm Logic, of course, our application that helps us track our software for irrigation, how long we irrigate, when we irrigate, harvesting, from cutting to baling, planting, as well as the clock in, clock out processes it's an application called Farm Logic. It's a pretty neat software. You have to pay for it, but it's amazing. It's an application made by farmers. So, of course, then two-way radio communication. If you saw I am connected to staff pretty much 24/7 when it comes to communication, basically knowing what's going on, hearing sales going on the radios as they communicate to the yard, hearing staff communicate in the fields about issues. Not only that, but being available 24/7. My job is 24/7. Being on call 24/7 is pretty much what I need. Right now, we have irrigation going on 24 hours a day, so we have a night shift going on at night. Sometimes the guys overlap with all of the weather going on as far as harvesting. They go into night sometimes. So I have to be on call. I have to be ready to go at all times. And I have to be listening to these guys to make sure safety is a big factor. And then attached to those radios is, of course, codes. Codes play a big factor in helping communicate a lot effectively. And because of the fire, we definitely implemented these things to be used. And we've actually had to call a few codes in the past, but this picture you see here is an example of our radio communications. The radio on the top right-hand corner is a base station that sits in 3 of the offices here on the yard that help with them, help the communication within the yard. But not only that, to help them communicate with staff. Should admin need to get a hold of somebody in the field, they're able to do that, as well as then all staff are set with mobile hand radios. And then all staff are trained on the radios communication codes to understand. And it's pretty basic. We use some of the basic codes like 10.4, for example, to confirm. Just a little bit of logistics that come around farming. It's always having to be on top of things. And then staff trainings, of course, making sure that these staff are knowledgeable about policies and procedures, knowledgeable about standard operating procedures, and knowledgeable about the resources. For example, the first aid AED machines are located through a number of offices on the farm, and they're suited and ready to go for anything needed from your cough drops. For example, if you come in with a cold, you start to feel weird, you start to feel a little ill, you want to keep moving, they have cough drops in there, to bandages and things for little cuts, to scrapes and giant things. We just want to be suitable for anything, any kind of injury that happens here on the farm, especially when dealing with equipment. Policies and procedures for using equipment, daily walkarounds, being on top of your breakage, being on top of your fluids, and staying on top of repairs and maintenance. I cannot stress that a lot. Being an equipment operator, coming up with equipment in agriculture, you have to respect the equipment. If we don't respect the equipment, we're going to be doing it the hard way, and that's by hand. So definitely teaching operators how to be able to spot these things and how to fix repairs. And if they're little repairs like tire changes or bolt breaks or things like that, they can definitely handle these things on their own. Should it require some sort of technical mechanical work, then of course we all come together and work on it right now, because we don't have a mechanic right now on site, and that's the unfortunate thing. But it helps us to learn about our equipment and know what we need to do to stay self-efficient. It also creates a great operator, for example. Policies and procedures for soil crop and rotation planning. Our plan, like I'll go into a little here in the next couple slides, as well as irrigation planning and scheduling, to help with keep our soil healthy and keep our crops strong. The soil crop rotation plan is something that I've definitely implemented. Coming into management, I didn't find a whole lot on paper as to what the plan was, to where we were going to go, what was going to be planted, what was following what. Proper crop rotation is, the basic of any agricultural setup. So it also helps support your soil. One of the things we've definitely implemented here is cover crops. For example, the top right hand picture you see is a picture of wheat. We did a number of grow outs in the small fields you would see right here behind the church, which are 5-acre fields, which is a total of, I want to say, 75 acres, around 70 acres. And we did that all wheat grains. It was oats, wheat, barley, and a number of different wheat grains, I believe, outside of our autumn storm wheat. So it was a great grow up, but also it helped with weed suppression. We had a number of Bermuda grass growing in that field right there because of the heavy seed rating we did, and the great success of that cover crop. The Bermuda was almost gone. We still have weed problems here now, of course, because it's been a while since we cover cropped, but the effect of the cover crop shows that it definitely works if we incorporate it right into our crop rotation. But not only that, but just staying on top of it, being able to use our equipment. The picture you see here is a giant, I want to say it's like a 27-foot disc. It's a nice disc. It covers a lot of acreage, but giving an example of how equipment helps us speed up that process and helps us be on top of things. A couple other things that we grow outside of alfalfa, which you see in the bottom right-hand corner here, is teff grass, for example, a warm season grass that we've introduced to help replace Bermuda grass customers. I'm not a big fan of Bermuda. It's a very noxious weed. So once you plant it, it's there. And I know they planted it in the past for a field here, and you can still see some of the remnants of it. So looking into some of the research, understanding science, teff grass is a great alternative. It's a very short season crop, but of course, if we harvest it right and plant it enough, we can have enough to go through a certain amount of the season and provide it with customers. And we did a grow out last season where we had a great reaction from customers, and we're looking at growing it again this season and including it into our crop rotation. But because that also helps with filling those gaps within between the alfalfa, for example, when they need to rotate out. So, Sudan grass is another example of a winter crop that we grow here that helps with the feed, and not only that, but helps with weed suppression, because that's a great crop. It grows tall and high. We definitely have to educate people when it comes to other crops. For example, Sudan grass is not really suitable for horses. It's more of a livestock feed for cattle. So doing the research, understanding some of that information, also educating staff to be able to make good sales to customers, of course. So oats and wheat for the cover crop, like I explained, definitely incorporated. And all this is encompassed into our crop rotation plan, which is basically a plan that extends, of course, not into just next month or next year. When it comes to farming, we have to plan for years and years ahead. The crop rotation plan that I put in place coming into management it looks at rotating the farm 3 full rotations, and that's going to take us until 2034, based on the amount of acreage we do, the amount of resources we have, as well as our equipment. Equipment plays a big factor in that, and we definitely lack in equipment, but we will be working on increasing that that resource here on the farm in the next coming years. But from 2023 to 2034, we will look on be able to rotate the farm completely 3 times. And at that point, we will have hopefully be able to reduce a lot of the weed suppression, as well as re-level a lot of the fields. There's a lot of leveling issues in a number of fields here on the farm. It definitely affects our irrigation efficiency here, as well as conservation for water. So right now, the plan is to rotate 819 acres and 19.79 acres of feed. This doesn't include the food products, as well as the nursery that make up a total of 61.83 acres right now. Overall, we're looking at farming a total of 875.62 acres, including food. So rotating that 3 full times throughout the next coming years is our plan right now. And right now, it would take about 3 years to do 1 full rotation of the farm north to south. So just to kind of give you an example of that long-term planning we do here in the farm, and incorporation of some of that technologies to do that. When I came on to the management position, or even as operations supervisor, it was my knowledge that the food crops were only sitting at about 40 acres here on the farm. There was a big demand, and for the sales area, there was a big demand outside. And I knew of a bunch of orders that were coming in, like, for example, the casino wanted 100 pounds of tempura beans every month. Okay, what's going on? Little to find out, there's a seed issue. We didn't have enough seeds to grow out a lot of things. For example, we had a small bag of yellow watermelons when I came on as management, which was really unfortunate. But of course, going back to that hook you mindset of, we have to survive. We have to get to next season. You can't just go to Johnny Seeds. You can't just go to Home Depot. You can't just get online and order these seeds. These seeds, but we helped establish the farm, especially the food crop seeds, were donated by the community members, donated by the landowners that helped establish the farm. And some of these seeds are still trying to be taken care of up to this point. So we definitely take that into mind when it comes to the food crops. But we also have to keep that in mind when trying to reach the 100-acre goal, because when we grow out something, I think in the past managers that were non-Anthem had that understanding of sell, but we have to hold something back to be able to plant to get to next season, to be able to grow and continue to sell and grow and continue to sell, so on and so on for the coming seasons. So getting that mindset into the staff and having them understand that has helped us increase production with food, as well as chomp away at the 100-acre goal that we've given them. And now I can't wait to see that. It's going to be amazing. Right now, we're looking at having a good acreage of corn, because of the success we've incorporated with crop rotation. For example, alfalfa is a nitrogen fixation crop. It loves nitrogen. Corn needs the nitrogen to thrive. So right now, for example, anytime we rotate out alfalfa, food production comes in behind us, and they can plant a number of different things that grow. But when they plant corn, it's great and it's successful. And we've done that in the past. And because of that, our harvesting and our inventory has skyrocketed. I think we're still sitting on corn that we need to clean from a couple of seasons ago. And just also the fact that we've had volunteer corn come up in some spots that thrived because of those fields and because of the nitrogen that was put in because of the alfalfa. So incorporating that knowledge, that science, and then training the staff how to use it. It creates a great crop rotation plan, and it's definitely something we need here on the farm. Marketing, of course, we talk about outside things outside of farming, outside the field work. Marketing is a big one for us, and we definitely need to get our name out there. Santa Fe Cooperative Association, Santa Fe Cooperative Farm definitely has a big name. We are known for quite a number of things, but not only that, we have a big a big image here. People know us here in Tucson, especially when it comes to traditional crops. That keeps move along by marketing. For example, social media. We've seen our posts, our Facebooks. We've seen all our postings and things like that when it comes to advertising, sharing information, focusing on getting the farm's name out there, making sure that people know we are a resource, we are available, we are here. Outreach, making sure that we're open for the community for things not only just like this, but for tours, for visits, for information. Not only that, but being able to extend that a little bit beyond just information, but training. We were able to do a professional development training with with teachers from the Barbecue Unified School District, and they came out and what do we make them do? We make them harvest their corn. It was a little out of their league and a little out of their realm, of course, but we took the aspect and idea of growing crops and applied it to them as to teaching the kids. They're preparing the kids for the future, for the world, for everything that they need, just as we're preparing the plants for the season, for everything that's going to be coming, the bugs, the plants, the equipment, all that stuff. Definitely incorporating that teaching into what they do to be able to expand not only just for education, but for training purposes. I truly believe that saying of you can't teach philosophy. You can teach farming while you teach philosophy, but you can't teach philosophy while I think I said it backwards. You can teach philosophy while teaching farming, but you can't teach farming while teaching philosophy. We deal with the cycle of life every day at work, every day here, every season. We plant something, we grow it, it thrives, it lives out its purpose, and then it dies, and we kill it, rotate it, and plant something else. It's understanding that purpose, it's understanding that cycle of life and that reason for life here at the farm. So extending beyond just education, training, as well as, I guess, philosophy. The store here at the farm is definitely a big resource. Sales is another category we have here when it comes to different parts of the farm. Without the farm, we wouldn't be able to make that income for revenue, for example. Everything that gets made here on the farm is usually sold here at the farm store. When it comes to feed, food, produce, or even products that get prepackaged here at the catering department, for example, like cookies, or even the chimney, something like things like that. But not only just the farm products, we like to be a hub for the community. We talked about economic development. We'd like to also be an economic resource. The art products you see here in this picture are also a resource here at we are also a product. They're also a product we sell here at the farm as a resource to the community. Being able to purchase some of these from artists here locally, advertise their community, their name on the product, and sell that here in the store. For a number of different things. If you look over at the left-hand corner, upper-hand corner, you see some wreath and things like that. We definitely also dabble into the seasons when it comes to the markets outside of farming. Those wreaths are kind of, believe this picture is probably taken on Limoshan sometime. So, of course, getting ready for All Souls and things like that, being a source for products of that nature for the community is definitely what we look for here at the store. Of course, once it comes to the yard, our employees were one of the first things that when you come into the farm with no experience or anything like that, we would definitely incorporate you into hay loading. And that's not just for discipline purposes, it's for training, it's for development. These guys are heart and soul of what we do here for sales, as well as the farm, the hard work. These guys lifting 100-pound bales every day, whether it be 1 bale to 100 bales for one customer. Making sure that customers load it up with whatever he needs to their satisfaction, of course, and making sure that the product gets sold in the end, making sure that everything that the hard work done in the field is done, is sold and benefited to the farm. So, but with the hay loaders, they definitely will work on developing great work ethics, hardworking, being on time, being on a work schedule when it comes to sales, 8 to 5 availability hours, leadership development, being able to understand their role, their purposes, their responsibility as a hay loader, and being able to fill supervisor positions in that instinct. Training on equipment operation as well as maintenance and safety. The loader you see at the bottom left-hand corner is something that they use every day to move anywhere from 64 bales to 100 bale stacks around in the easy lift of pulling the lever. In the event that equipment goes down, they're moving bales by hand. And it's unfortunate because I've seen these guys load a double semi-trailer by hand because the equipment was down. again, you have to respect the equipment. You have to take care of the equipment to be able to do things the easy way. So being able to train themselves on equipment, but also in the end, customer service training. Sales is all about customer service and being able to be keeping retention on customers, keeping customers happy, but also retaining that sale, making sure we actually get a revenue in the end. It also plays a big factor because I've seen every kind of customer here at the farm. You know, especially the hay buyers, not anyway, but the hay buyers are really picky when it comes to alfalfa. You know, we don't have pair number 1 alfalfa here on the farm because we don't spray. We always get a factor of weeds coming around here on the farm. So these guys definitely deal with it when it comes to the customers here on the farm. Food production, of course, right now we have 2 crews in farm operations. They are all farm operators, but the crew 2 is focused on food production. They work on all the food crops and preparing all the food crops and taking care of all the food crops. Right now, of course, this department also is overseeing the nursery area, utilizing that area for their needs as well as transplantings and things like that. There's also a small seed garden we established in the nursery area to help us grow out things like the yellow watermelons, for example, which was our big focus last year. And this year, we're actually able to plant a 5-acre field of yellow watermelon because of the success we've had. And the refocusing on that, you know, the seed is the main focus. Of course, they grow winter and summer crops with the assistance of irrigation. Right now, how we normally do it is we'll plant with the central Arizona Project water, we'll irrigate, have everything sprout, and as soon as everything is ready, it looks pretty nice, we'll stop irrigating to mimic the effect of course, the monsoon, the heat, the stressing of the plants. And we'll try to we most likely will, with the positive rainfall forecasting. We would just wait out the rain and hopefully that the crops will survive until then, but we always have the irrigation for a fallback. Right now, we do our best to stress and mimic that environmental effect of the desert, of course, to make sure that we don't impact their genetic identity, to make sure that they're not reliant on the water all the time, that they have to also make sure that they survive on their own. You know, it's all about helping us understand the seeds, making sure we take care of the seeds. But some pictures to show here, of course, you see some of the other things we dabbled into are this sunflowers. We've done a number of sunflowers, from the giant sunflowers to the little yellow sunflowers you see. Of course, equipment operation is a big one for the crew. This picture here you see here is a picture of them cultivating. It helps with weeding and keeping some of the weeds within the rows down. This is the easy way of doing it. You know, a lot of times when it comes to our crops, especially the food crops, we have to be out there by hands with hoes and sickles, getting all the weeds out of the way and stuff. It's a tedious job, trust me. When it comes to acreages, you could definitely say you love farming, you love what to do, but when I give you a hoe and stick you out in the field and tell you have to weed 5 acres of this today, you're definitely going to question your job, trust me. Doing things the easy way helps us to respect that. Doing things the hard way helps us respect the easy way, of course. So making sure that we are on top of our equipment, our planning, helps us be on top of these things. For example, if you look down to the bottom left-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, this is a picture of a combine. It's a PTO combine connect to a New Holland 6030 tractor that's a harvesting temporary beans, I believe. That, of course, it cleans all the thrash out, shoots it out, and separates the beans from it into the hopper on top. We rented this equipment and used it on the farm. It helps us increase the process of harvesting. When I harvested temporary beans in college, we did it in a greenhouse, smashed them down, cleaned them up, spreaded them out, and all by hand. So this is amazing. When I know they can do it with the combine, I'm definitely looking into ways that we can incorporate more of this technology into our modern agriculture, of course. So just an example of how modern agriculture, or how agriculture and optimal agriculture has changed with the incorporation of technology, especially equipment. The other side of farm operations is feed. Anything that comes with livestock, hay, for example, in the short terms, we do it here on the farm. And right now, our crew 1 is 2 operators that do pretty much round the clock work, especially around this time of the year. And when it comes to cutting, harvesting, when I say harvesting, I mean baling and picking up bales. This picture you see with the red equipment on the top left-hand corner is a picture of our cutter. It's a swather that helps cut alfalfa in almost a scissor-like motion to provide a clean cut to the plant so that we're not making that plant susceptible to disease. when you thrash a cut or you tear a plant off, you make that plant susceptible to disease unless it's a clean cut. And a swather equipment like this definitely does that for our alfalfa. And some of the other pictures you see are, so if you go to the right, after this machine cuts all these windrows, is what it's called, a windrower. They'll lay them out in a row like this after it runs through a compressor, smashing the plant up, helping to release excess moisture. And then from there going down to the bottom left-hand corner is a baler. And that piece of equipment makes all the feed into a bale. It ties the knot, it packs it, it does everything you need to. All you got to do is feed the material into it, of course. And then this machine you see on the bottom right-hand corner is a bale wagon. And that picks up the bales, it stacks them into that giant pattern you see there. What it's doing right now, it's dropping that stack on the ground. It's all automated. All the driver's got to do is aim the arm at the bales, pick it up, and the machine does the rest. Again, technology incorporating that use of equipment. When that piece of equipment goes down, the guys are out there with the trailer picking up by hand, throwing it onto it, loading it, just like they did in the old days. You know, they used to have to attach a trailer to the back of a baler with a couple of guys stacking by hand as the bale came out. Just a kind of example of some of the things we do outside of food. But everything that these guys do definitely supports our operations in the food production area. They bring in the revenue, they bring in all of the customers and everything that purchase our hay, are a big support to all the other projects here, especially the food here on the farm. Irrigation. Irrigation is very crucial. I can give you an example. The manager before me, he ordered, I want to say 11,000 acre feet of water last year. We ended up returning about a third of that water because I'm going to say he was just too greedy. At this time of year, especially this time of life, with water the way it is around the world, we have to respect it. We have to understand that it's not, it's a renewable resource, but we have to be on top of taking care of it. We have to be on top of our usages for it. We have incorporated a plan here at the farm that runs on a 28-day irrigation schedule for 24 hours. So that means on day one of those 28 days, that water goes on, and it stays on for 28 days. I think at a minimum, they go on for 21-day irrigations. And we shoot for a 12 to 8-inch watering, and that's above and below soil. Of course, I want to say you have about 4 inches below, and then the rest of that will be on top. We shoot for 21-day cycles to meet that 30 to 32-day cut time. So every month we would get a cut while also irrigating. The leveling plays a big factor in that. And that picture you see in the background is that picture of a field that got replanted with alfalfa, of course, dragged. And now it irrigates a little better, I should say, just for short. But then also kind of showing you examples of some of the other aspects we do. Just picture in the right-hand corner, you see the water gushing out. The risers, of course, they definitely take maintenance. We have to be on top of these things. That's a picture of a riser where a lid had came off because of maybe it was too loose, or maybe the irrigator opened it too much. Definitely being on top of our maintenance will prevent things like that. But I've seen those things reach about 10 feet high, busting out of the risers. It's pretty amazing how much that water is, but also an example of the pressure that we're dealing with when it comes to our irrigation. We don't have your traditional canals and things like that go throughout the farms where you have siphoning tubes, or they're doing the little water gates and things like that. All our irrigation system is buried underground. It's run off of irrigation tanks that you see throughout the farm. You'll see one here next to the yard if you ever come to the farm. And now all we got to go is go to the center picture. You see the gentleman turning in the yellow triangle. It's called a lateral. And that lateral controls a set of risers, which you see the water coming out. They use that giant key he has to turn the water on at the lateral and at the risers. At this point, I can say that we've calculated one full turn on the riser to be 2 acre feet of water. And we run anywhere from 12 turns, dividing out 23 acre feet of water per second. And that's how much water we deal with here on the farm when it comes to our operations every day. Just to give you an example, right now we order about just over 8,000 acre feet of water a year to get 8 cuts. So 8 cuts to 11 cuts. If we get 11 cuts, it's a good season. But really, our focus, our average is about 8 cuts a year with that amount of water. just kind of calculating some of those things, but also taking into account the weather, the fact, the environment. That definitely plays a big factor with irrigation. Evapotranspiration plays a big hit on us. One of the things I've incorporated is irrigating at night when it gets into the hundreds, into the 90s, because at that point we're just losing water to the air, and that's not good for us. So understanding science and training staff on how to incorporate some of these things. Farm maintenance, of course, some things that are required beyond farming, these guys do, like for example, the plumbing, dealing with some of the irrigation, not irrigation. The plumbing issues we have here on the farm, we run into a type of material they call ranch pipe that is discontinued, and we have a hard time trying to find connections to it because the facility is pretty old. But they deal with a lot of water line busting and things like that. They do repairs for those things, but not only that, but the road maintenance, for example. The center picture you see here is a picture of the result of irrigation overflooding a field, taking out a road, and now they're trying to determine how they can refix it, of course. So this is an example of some of the things that the other things they have to do outside of the regular facility maintenance stuff, like example. So one of the other things they do is assist irrigation when they have, like, for example, right now we're going through our cathodic protection repair, cathodic protection maintenance plan. So there's a vendor out here going through checking all of our piping and irrigation stuff to make sure there's magnesium bags that help control the erosion on our irrigation pipes, preventing all of that and extending the life of the system, for example. Yeah, these guys will be out there digging up holes and so that they can drop those bags in and reinsert new magnesium charges, for example. So outside of some of the work that they do for the maintenance stuff, they help out irrigation. Mechanics, right now I don't have a mechanic. It's really hard to get a mechanic here in agriculture, especially for the demand that they need for their experience. But I like to say that agricultural mechanics is a specialized mechanic work. You can definitely take an automotive mechanic and have them fix a car, but you can't take an automotive mechanic and it'll probably take a little bit to understand how to fix a baler. The gentleman you see in the big picture in the background is Dean Norby. He's a contract mechanic that we've been working with for years. He knows his red baler inside and out. Sorry, excuse me. Stand by, I'm in the presentation. He knows his red baler inside and out. He knows how to fix the knotters. He's a very specialized person. So he has his own business. He's an entrepreneur. He does his own contract work, doing mechanical things and services for people. He has years and years working for John Deere, Earhart, New Holland, a number of different big brand names in agriculture. But it's a specialized industry. It's a specialized skill. You could definitely fix wheels and things like that. But when it comes to time bars, feed boxes, I mean, we'll probably get a little out of the league when it comes to automotive mechanics. But if you love working with your hands, if you love taking things apart, if you love figuring things out, I mean, agricultural mechanics is probably where you want to be. Heavy equipment mechanics specifically, I guess, if you want like to get related field. But we definitely need these people. We need hands. My guys are learning what they need to do as they go. But when things break, it's better to fix it and keep moving than to just wait for somebody to come fix it. They can charge anywhere from $170 to $180 an hour for a technician to come out and fix you. And that's for when they leave their yard and they get to your site. So it's a very niche part of agriculture. And a lot of farmers are working on trying to be self-sufficient when it comes to fixing their own equipment. So kind of example of some of the things we deal with on the farm when it comes to equipment and breakage and things like that. Things break, we just got to fix them. But of course, equipment is also designed to wear and tear. So understanding what's supposed to wear and tear and what's not supposed to break helps you define things like operator errors versus, old equipment. Moving on, catering. In the end, we all definitely want to honor that farm to table theme and be able to meet our food getting into your bellies. Phyllis Valenzuela is our catering cook here at the farm, and she's amazing. She's done a number of different things with our food, being very creative with it, as well as generating a very, very unique profile for herself as a traditional cook. We've had requests for journalists to come interview her from Europe. PBS has come out to do interview for her. The picture you see in the right-hand corner with the big old spotlight, that's actually PBS's setup for her. You can see all her different displays of the different foods that she has here. But one of the things I love that she does is that reintroducing that food to Odd. For example, tamales. Everybody loves tamales. They're amazing. You know, they come in all different sizes, all different themes, all different fillings. One of the things that Phyllis does is the children tamale. It's amazing. It's great. You know, who would have thought that you would, you know, or unwrap a tamale and eat it? You're not gonna think about what's in there. You just want to know if it's good. You didn't. A lot of times when we feed these to the out, they never know that the children in there, but they love it. You know, and it's reintroducing those foods to the kids, reintroducing these recipes and these resources to the not just the out, but the community, the out them here, so that they're re-educated about their foods and their resources here and how to use them. Not only that, but she does catering here at the farm. We offer a catering service. So anything from your basic lunch party or work party to a conference, for example. We've done conferences for ASU for 200 plus people. Definitely have the need for this food and all the work that she does. Phyllis is really great. Can I imagine some of the things that we're going to definitely dabble into as there being more of those resources and more of those food products, and as we champ away that 100-acre goal. So yeah. Just want to close out with saying, you know, of course, my name is Ryan Andrews. I've been farming for 9 years. As a farmer, a new farmer, a young farmer, it's really just been an experience. I'm trying to learn everything. I think when I became a manager, it was really just a jump in career overnight, but the farm needed it. With all of the outside managers that have been coming in, the non-optim managers, coming in with their perspective, their new plan, trying to recreate the wheel. It was just, it's played a toll on the farm. And I've been working to refocus the farm on what we need to do. The original purpose of it, being able to work with people like Clifford Pablo and the college has helped me, but also I believe now I can see it has groomed me for things like this, and helping us refocus the farm on optim modern agriculture. So with that said, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Duran Andrews. Thank you so much for sharing. Much appreciate. Duran and Xavier is always busy. Like you saw, in the presentation, it is a lot to run the farm, and they do it year round. So we got to eat cherry beans, or we got to eat, you know, yellow meat, watermelons, squash, or get e-hook, or their cows and horses ate hay today, and it came from Santa Fe. You know, it's everyone's hard work. The team works day and night, you know, to do all this work. But thank you so much. But I had wanted to ask a question, especially we asked the presenters, you know, what does climate smart agriculture mean for you in Santa Fe Co-op?
Climate smart. Working with the environment. I guess it's the best thing we can say. One of the things we don't do here is clear cutting. Places where they have like a lot of feed farms, hay farms, they'll do clear cutting where they'll cut out all the trees to make sure that they have proper airflow, so that the feed dries better. We definitely need the mesquite pods because we harvest from them. So we some of the irrigation, for example, when our tank overflows, that water is redirected into places where the mesquite grows, so that way that they can benefit from that water. Just working with the environment and kind of assisting the environment, for example, and some of those things, I think is probably climate. What did you say? Climate friendly agriculture?
Climate smart agriculture. No, and that's what we are wanting to promote. And this is why we're doing these virtual workshop series, is that no, there's different ways of climate smart agriculture. It's not, it's not just just enough to like say, oh, traditional. No, what are you doing? You know, you're growing seeds of traditional crops. You know, you're preserving them. You're seed saving them. You're saving some for your community, so that that people have access to seeds, as well as working with the seasons. Nolan mentioned Nolan's Johnson from Pancho Moy Farms talked about no, it's all just rainwater, so he has no irrigation, so he can't do year round. But what do you do during that time? You do your maintenance where you make sure your equipment's up to date. There's wild foods that are out during those times. The down season, like cholla buds, mesquite pods, and then you're busy during the middle of the season, the summer season. As for some of you guys may not know, yesterday was the solstice. It was the longest day and the shortest night, and then every day till December 21st, the days are going to get shorter. As farmers, those are the most important thing. And you have you guys are 24/7, and you guys are using resources, but you don't let it go to waste. I like that you're letting the water go into the mesquite pods. You're taking advantage of your environment, so that it helps you guys at the farm. Windbreakers. Mesquite. Mesquite has a very dual purpose. Well, actually, one dual purpose, multiple purposes. It's firewood. It's windbreaker. It's a food source. It's um, beneficial insects. It's a lot of things that have its purpose, and that's something that we know all these things, but we don't actually get the time to share that with people who want to know, because we're just out and about doing our work. But thank you so much. If anybody had any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can put it in the chat box for Duran and Santa Rico.
I just want to point out too that when it comes to mesquite, there are 3 different types of mesquite here in Arizona. Of course, the Scroobian mesquite, which is the more found near the river. But the confusion is the Chilean mesquite. If the pods are huge and they're like C-shaped, don't eat them, please. They don't taste good unless you're curious. But velvet mesquite trees are what we harvest from, and they're more smaller, fine pods. Yeah, just as education.
No, thank you for sharing that. Also, if you get honey from Santa Barbara, most of it's mesquite honey. I tell people that every time they get honey, and like it's mesquite honey. It's not. You guys have planted an acre of sunflowers, and sunflowers are only for a few days, and then you have to turn it over. Versus mesquite pods that continues to flower until fall. So those are kind of things that we but the environment helps create the honey that you guys sell, as well as you guys get the wax, make candles, and I understand that person makes other products out of it, like lip balm and other things. I can't even imagine what else they use it for, because it never crossed their minds and to actually sit down and get to know these things. But if there's no other questions other than do you have anything going on this any upcoming events or anything like that you guys coming up?
Well, like you mentioned, the Autumn Farmers Market tomorrow from 4 to 7. We're actually operating 2 stores open from 8 to 5. And then Saturday, we're doing a community planting day. We're doing home planting behind the church back here. I think in a 5-acre field. It could be 5 acres or more. Don't take my word for it. Just know we're planting hoon. But we're opening up to the community because also I did not mention, but one of the things that we have a hard time incorporating here at the farm is planting. Or planters, for example. Right now, what we do is we'll fill up a push planter with seeds, get in the field, give an employee a backpack with seeds and music and some water, and have them walk down the field with the push planter down the row. If there's 4 people, then it's a 4-row planter. One of the issues I've seen coming into this position is that, or even to the farm, when I got here, they were using a John Deere vacuum planter for the corn, and it was having a hard time dropping. It would miss seeds every now and then, so they didn't like it. We got rid of it. They went back to the push planters, and one of the goals I have is to try and find a planter that's suitable for the seeds that we have here on the farm, specifically the corn, that'll meet that planting consistently, and they're able to plant like 10 rows or maybe 4 or 5 rows at a time in a tractor rather than in a field with the push planter, because it's neat. It's how we did it, hook you, but we want to be more efficient. We want to be a little bit more faster. So incorporating technology and finding that equipment to meet those needs for the food production crew is my goal here right now in the next coming couple of years. Of course, it's going to take some finances, but definitely notice that issue when it comes to the equipment and our seeds, being able to plant efficiently and more large scale is our goal here. And that's one of the things that I like to point out, especially when it comes to the seeds. Well, if there are no more other questions, of course, I do have, I don't know, sure you want to share my contact in the chat, Sterling, but I do have a couple of things I need to get to. People are calling me. So.
Hi there, really fast. My name is Danielle Corral. I'm with Local First Arizona, and I work on farmland preservation. Can I just ask you, so within this context, right, of I put in quotes, climate smart agriculture, can you just speak to, we all know the importance, right, of soil health, you know, for many different reasons, water infiltration, it's a living system itself, microbial activity. You know, you discussed how it's really important to have healthy crops and plants, right, for disease management, et cetera. So you kind of touched on it with crop rotation and other great things that you all are doing. Can you just speak to it in however form you want and how you guys are, you know, always thinking about soil health, whether you do testing or it's really observational with you all, that you all know your context really well, but just maybe talk about soil health in this context? Thank you.
Yes, if you could take a shovel and dig into it, mostly probably in the field, and just take a good clump out of it, and you'll find a number of worms located in these things. Our soil is great. I cannot express that more. And I think that's the result of practicing that natural certified grown, no additives at all. From my understanding with the farm, there hasn't been really any additives used in the past too much that have affected the environment, especially our soil. And also that one of the things we try to do is returning some of that crop in. Well, before we do corn planting following the alfalfa, we won't harvest the alfalfa. We just cut it and turn it into the soil, have it break down underneath, and of course assist with some of that organic livestock. But one of the things I would like to do, of course, in the future is get away from some of that soil work and focus more on that non-till. So that we can support the soil, because there's amazing soil down there, and with the amount of work we do on it, it's surprising to see how amazing it still is. We can rotate a field, till a field, disc it, and then we've done things like plowing and ripping at least 4 feet down, and the soil is still amazing. It still comes back every time we plant, benefiting from, of course, all the organic matter we return into it. It's amazing. As for the testing, we did do testing last year. It was one of the first times I've done it since I've been here at the farm. Those results were amazing, of course, and showing some of the things that we've, some of the benefit of the practices that we've done here in the past at the farm. So we will continue to do that, as well as incorporating regular practicing on testing to make sure that we're on top of it. But the soil is amazing. I cannot express any more of that. It's the results of that, practicing that respect for the environment and the land. Any other questions? Okay, well, if there are not any other questions, of course, you can find me here at the farm. Especially this time of the year, I'm here year round. You give us a call, you have my contact information. If not, Sterling can share it on the chat, or somebody can share it in the chat, but I do have to get going. There's a number of things.
All right. Thank you, Duran. Thank you, Santa Beer Co-op. Thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you for all the work you're doing. And if anything else, Alton Farmers Market this Friday, 4 to 7 at Santa Barbara Co-op Farms, right in the parking space, the big open space by the farm. Thank you, Amy, for attending. Thank you, everyone else. We are grateful for that. We do have upcoming workshops. In-person one next week is Picking by Dutch. So this was Wednesday, starting at 5:30, meeting at the South Community Garden right next to the rec center. For those who are interested in coming out, just Google Sales Rec Center, and you will find we are on the west end of the fence, right next to the rec center. We'll be meeting there at 5:30. We'll go out and go pick for a little bit, and we'll thank you for this. Thank you for this time. If anything else, we have another workshop. Our last well, would be our last one, but we're going to try to get NRCS to come in and continue to do their presentation. But our next workshop is next Thursday at 9 o'clock as well. We will be meeting with Mr. and Dr. Michael Johnson, who just graduated from the U of A with a doctorate. He is a dryland farmer, a Hopi dryland farmer, which is a totally different way of dryland farming. And he will be sharing that next week, next Thursday. So please look out for any upcoming events on the Ajo CSA Facebook page, Instagram page, and also for the Alton Farmers Market. You can find it on Facebook and Instagram too as well. With that, thank you all. Thank you for joining us here, and hope you can join us for the in-person one as well as maybe the virtual one as next week. For this week, thank you so much.
Thank you.